Today's topic is the top 10 mustaches in NFL history, and our video starts right now. Okay, I've gathered up 20 of the most famous mustaches in NFL history for us to take a look at, and I have one stipulation. We're looking at mustaches, not beards. Sorry, Brett Kiesel and Ryan Fitzpatrick. All right, I broke all of these players into two groups, and I think we'll pull the top 5 stashes out of each group and put them into our top 10 list. Let's get started with group number 1, and in no particular order, we've got Fred Biletnikoff, a really great receiver for the Raiders during the 60s and the 70s. We've got Ken Riley, a cornerback for the Bengals during the 70s and 80s. Sweetness, Walter Payton comes in. He's a great running back for the Bears during the 70s and 80s. Todd Christensen, a really good tight end for the Raiders during the 80s. Mike Ditka, another really good tight end for the Bears and the Cowboys. Just using his player stash here, although his coaching stash is just as iconic. Conrad Dobler, a solid offensive guard for the Cardinals in the 70s. Ben Davidson, a solid defensive end for the Raiders during the 60s. Jared Allen, a great defensive end for the Chiefs and the Vikings during the 2000s and 2010s. We've got Dick Butkus, the monster of Midway himself, a Hall of Fame linebacker for the Bears in the 60s and early 70s. Dan Deerdorf, a really good offensive tackle for the Cardinals during the 70s and early 80s. Now, obviously, we've got some really great stashes in this group, and I'd say right off the bat, we'd have to take Walter Payton and Mike Ditka just because their mustaches are so iconic. Next, I'd have to throw in Dick Butkus just because his mustache adds to his intimidation factor. And then I'll add Biletnikoff and Davidson because both of their mustaches are pretty unique. Now, Group 1 is going to be tough to beat, but let's see what Group 2 has to offer. First up, we've got Joe Montana, legendary quarterback for the 49ers during the 80s. And then Joe Namath, another legendary quarterback for the Jets during the 60s and 70s. Aaron Rodgers, another great QB who's still playing. And honestly, I purposely put all of these quarterbacks together in this group. Another quarterback, Ken Anderson, really good for the Bengals during the 70s and the 80s. And then we've got Gardner Minshew, another quarterback that's still playing. Minshew's played for the Jaguars, the Eagles, the Colts, and now the Raiders. And Warren Moon, another legendary quarterback. He started out in the USFL and played during the 80s and 90s for the Oilers and the Vikings. Okay, we're off the quarterbacks. Next up is going to be Ray Wersching, a solid kicker for the 49ers during the 70s, 80s. I can't believe I'm including a kicker. Cliff Harris, a really good safety for the Cowboys during the 70s, and, in my opinion, the instigator in the Lambert incident.
Trailing 10-7 in the third quarter, the Steelers missed a field goal. When Cowboys safety Cliff Harris taunted kicker Roy Girella, Lambert responded.
Travis Kelce, a great tight end for the Chiefs that's still playing today. Next up is Bubba Smith, a solid defensive end that played most notably for the Colts in the 60s and early 70s, and then went on to become an actor that starred in the Police Academy franchise. Man, we've got some awesome mustaches to sift through here. And I'm thinking I'm going to exclude Montana and Namath right away just because they didn't really wear their mustaches for very long. And I think Ray Wersching, he's got to be in because, yeah, that's an awesome mustache. I'll put in Cliff Harris with the villain's mustache as well. Bubba Smith has to go in as well because combined with his teeth gap, his mustache really defines his face. And we have to include Ken Anderson and Warren Moon just because their mustaches are so classic. All right, today is November 1st, and you might have noticed that I've shaved my face. And that's because I'll be participating in Movember this year, which raises money for men's health by funding projects that focus on mental health, suicide prevention, prostate cancer, and testicular cancer. So if there's a man in your life, a father, a brother, that weird but harmless uncle, a nephew, or even an in-law, and you feel moved enough to keep them around a little longer, please scan the QR code on the screen or go to the web address on the screen and include it in the description and donate what you can to this great cause. I'll even sweeten the deal and tell you that I've got almost 500 sports cards to give away. I'll probably break these down in 10 groups for giveaway prizes. Just donate at least $5 to my Movember campaign and you're eligible to win. Now maybe you're short on cash and want to get in on the giveaway drawing anyways. So I'll put together another 5 group of cards as giveaway prizes. And to be eligible, all you have to do is subscribe to my channel and comment on every November video that I put out with a hashtag Mustache Mania. Each comment will give you 1 entry into the drawing. All right, let's start ranking these mustaches. I think we'll put Cliff Harris at number 10 because villains never win, right? Next up, I'll slide in Ben Davidson into the number 9 spot because he's got sort of a mustache that looks like a villain as well. Number 8 is going to be Dick Butkus, followed by Fred Bolitnikoff at number 7. We're going to fill in the number 5 and number 6 spots with some classic mustaches with Ken Anderson at number 6 and Warren Moon looking smooth at number 5. Anybody who can hide their top and bottom lips with a nice full mustache has to be number 4, and that's going to be Ray Wershing. Now, a mustache that gets you cast in a movie franchise has to be good enough for number 3, and that'll be Bubba Smith. So the number 1 and number 2 spots will be a battle between 2 iconic mustaches worn by Walter Payton and Mike Ditka. Now, both of these mustaches are iconic and instantly recognizable, but I think one has taken a spot in pop culture, and that is Mike Ditka. So Ditka takes the number 1 spot while Sweetness takes the number 2 spot. Now remember, my list is completely subjective today, and I don't really have any stats behind my mustache rankings, and this leads me to ask you, who do you think has the number 1 mustache in NFL history? Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, stay safe out there, and I'll see you next time.